Hey guys, welcome back to the Veda Mindset podcast. There are several topics I want to cover today, and the first one is passions. So, the human mind is a pattern tracker, pattern seeker. It tracks patterns until it finds coherence. There are patterns everywhere, all around us, all the time. But I believe that there's one pattern we seek out the most, the pattern we see without even trying the most. And I think that that pattern is what we feel very passionate about, something that feels like our passion. Your passion is something that is effortless. It's just something that you can do or talk about or watch all day without like any sort of validation, any sort of reward. I think like a passion is something that comes very naturally to you. That doesn't mean that it's easy and that it doesn't take like a lot of work to excel at, but it's something that's so embedded in your perceptions of life that like it's so easy for you to notice in everything. I think your passion shows up all around you all the time. And it's that thing that you naturally think about, that thing that you naturally see in the world all the time in conversations and people on media. It's whatever feels like it comes most natural to you, something that you have fun learning about or thinking about. And the reason why I really emphasize this topic of passions to a lot of people because life is what you make it. Yeah, you can have a really great, fulfilling life, or you can have a very mundane life where you don't feel the emotions of happiness or fulfillment a lot of the time. And it's up to you to decide what type of life you want to have in this human experience, and a way to make it more fulfilling, like a fulfilling human experience where you get to really see the best parts of you come out and flourish. I think the way to do that is to realize what your passion is and pour into that. And a lot of people think like they don't have a passion or they're not good at anything. They don't have something that makes them tick. And yeah, there are certain instances where it's very hard for your mind to even locate something like that for you. Like if you're not getting your main needs met, like shelter, food, like money, like those things have you in a fight or flight mode. If you don't have any of those needs met, it's not really it's not a really easy thing to do to just think, oh yeah, like what's my passion? Like no, you're thinking about your main needs that you need to get met. But for those of you who do have those needs met and you are still wondering like why, what am I here for? What is my passion? What am I supposed to do with myself? I think just even asking yourself those questions is such a great it's like a great opener to that world, like to even notice like I have a certain purpose, I have a reason to be, like there is something I can do with myself. Let me go find what that thing is, because a lot of people might not think that way at all. A lot of people just think I'm gonna work and make money, start a family, and I'll die. Some people don't see the world through the lens of even having a certain passion, something that makes them feel like their life has a purpose. So if you're even asking yourself those questions about what is my passion, what do I enjoy, what makes me feel fulfilled, you're already priming your mind to notice the things that light that up for you. And like I said, I think every single person does have a certain pattern they see the world through the most, whether that's art, music, colors, science. Like there are so many different categories of life, so many different categories of passions and hobbies. And I think a place to start in finding out what your passion is what pattern do you see the most of all the time? What do you silently notice in everything? This thing is something that's hidden in plain sight. It's not something that you have to try to do. It's something that comes so naturally that you don't even think it's anything special. That is something to pay attention to. What do you notice when you're looking at people? What do you notice when you're talking to someone? What do you notice when you're watching TV? I think paying attention to what you are naturally noticing in the world, paying attention to what pattern you see in everything is a really good way to figure out what is my passion? What do I want to do with myself in my lifetime? Another really great way to, I don't want to say find your passion, I want to say almost realize it. Because it's not something that's outside of you that you're looking for. It's something that you have to kind of unbury from underneath. So another way to kind of realize your passion is just letting yourself live life. I think the more pressure you put on yourself to find a passion, the more that thing is not going to be your passion. You're going to develop a pressure, guilt relationship with that thing because you're telling yourself, oh, like, I think I should like this, so let me put all my time into it. And that's not saying you might not enjoy it sometimes, but in order to really develop a good relationship with something that you enjoy, you have to kind of just let go and live life. Don't think, what should I be doing right now? What will get me to reach a certain goal? What will get me results? What will get me validation? Like, any of those things, you can find things that light you up, but if those are the themes underlying your intentions, it's not gonna feel like a true passion. It's gonna feel like pressure, like work. And for me, I realized that whenever I just allowed myself to live life, no pressure, just live, just be myself and let myself move towards whatever I like, that allowed me to really see what truly are my passions, what do I want to put my time into, and what actually makes me feel fulfilled. I think having a passion in your lifetime is really important because it really allows you to find true fulfillment in what you're doing. And when you find true fulfillment in what you're doing and you're doing it because of intrinsic motivation, that is how you get so far in something. Like, that is how you will build such a mastery in a given area, like, of life, a hobby, an art. And the human mind is built for mastery. The human mind tracks patterns to reach the whole, to reach coherence. And the human being likes to figure out ways to get better at certain skills. And when you are intrinsically motivated to do something, you will go back to that thing every single day. And when that thing actually matters to you and it actually feels like it's a part of you, you will be able to reach mastery in it. And it's just like a variation of a life that I think is really, really beautiful, that I think every single human should get the chance to see what that type of life looks like. Reaching mastery in a given skill that you are intrinsically motivated for. Anything that you pick up just because you like what it looks like or you think it's gonna make you look cooler, you're not gonna be able to easily reach mastery and things like that. Like, maybe you can go after that for a significant amount of time, but I truly believe that the people who become great at anything is not because they chose it because they think it just looked cool or they thought it would give them validation. They're doing it because it feels like it's a part of who they are. They are intrinsically motivated to do that thing. And I see so many great artists, actresses, scientists, like anyone who is amazing at their given field. And to reach that level in anything, like I know those people are intrinsically motivated. Those people are not doing it just for the validation, just for the audience, just for the status. They're doing it because it actually is filling something in them. And I think that's a really important thing to remember when it comes to even picking up things you want to get good at. Find the intrinsic motivations for why you want to do these things, especially for your passion, because if it's solely based on exterior motives, it really doesn't allow you to capitalize off of how amazing a human can be when they're learning. Like, when a human mind is primed in a way that it's intrinsically motivated, your learning of that skill, of that craft, just increases significantly versus someone who is only doing it because they think it looks cool or they think that it makes them cooler. That person's perception and when they're learning is not the same perception as someone who is doing the same thing because it feels like a part of them and they have like a deeper reason for picking up that craft. And I just say this because this doesn't mean that you can't try to learn something because you think it's cool. I think obviously that's a really normal place to start, but I think a lot of people sometimes pick things up because it'll make them likable or it'll make them seem a certain way. And when you approach certain crafts with that mindset, it doesn't allow you to witness how the mind just learns the best. Like, the mind really learns in the best way when you are intrinsically motivated. When you're extrinsically motivated, you're not seeing the same patterns as other people are. And that's because you're doing it for reasons that are not as aligned. And honestly, I'm speaking from experience. Like, there are obviously, and I think a lot of people have done this, like sometimes we pick things up or we want to learn something because maybe we think it'll make us seem more appealing. But as soon as I changed my intentions and realized, maybe it started out that way, but now I actually like this thing for the thing, or I actually like it because it feels like it's fueling something in me, in my identity, and who I believe I am or who I want to be. Or I really do want to excel in this craft for just more intrinsic motivation, like intrinsic reasons. All the patterns I see are just completely different than the patterns I saw prior with that different lens. So yeah, that being said, I think realizing your passion is something that everybody should think about a little bit more. I find myself getting really upset when I see people just living life just to live life, or they're okay with doing the most mediocre things. And obviously people are in those situations for different reasons, whether that like your parents didn't support you, you had no one around you showing you how amazing life can really be, you were like, your mind was filled with all of these negative assumptions about what you believe is possible. There are so many reasons why people don't have a passion-driven mentality or an ambitious mentality. So I completely empathize with that. But I always try to share this with people that you're not in this world to just complete a to-do list. Like, please, if you take anything from this episode, it's this. Life is not a to-do list. Life is not you just checking off boxes on your to-do list. Life is way more than that. Life is meant to be enjoyed and experienced, and life is meant to feel fulfilling. It does not have to feel like a bunch of pressure and just guilt and all of these things that you're like forcing yourself to do every day. Like, life is not just that. Life can be so many other things, but again, life is what you make it. There's no one gonna tell you to do these things. There's no one gonna help you change these things in your mind. You're gonna just have to realize what life has to offer and change the way you are approaching your life every day. So I just want to say that life can feel fulfilling. Life is meant to be experienced, to be enjoyed. And I think having the thoughts in your head about finding a passion, finding something that makes you feel like you have a purpose in this lifetime is a gateway to that type of life. Because just think about it, like if you don't really feel like you're here for anything, if you don't really feel like you're meant to be good at anything, you're meant to add to anything in this world, of course, life is gonna feel like a checklist. Life is gonna feel like every day you wake up and you just think about everything you have to get done, and then you look forward to watching TV at the end of the day. But let me tell you something about the human being. The human being is meant to create. The human being is meant to seek patterns and gain mastery out of the patterns that they are seeking. So I think like at the end of the day, even if a human being lived their life that way, every single day was pressure, pressure, pressure. I have to do these things and I can't wait to just sit in front of the TV and eat chips and watch TV. Eventually, I feel like that person would still feel empty. That person would still feel empty because the human being is created for skill building. It's created for creation, for making things of themselves, making things for the world. So when people have this mentality of, I don't want to work or I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit and do nothing and watch TV, like I think that's probably just a person who probably were forced at a very young age to do a lot of things that they don't want to do, and they probably didn't have anyone around them feeding any intrinsic motivation for them, so everything was very extrinsic based. So it doesn't surprise me that there are people like that. It's just as a child they were probably forced to do too much and not shown what life looks like when you do things that you care about. So then what does that get you? It gets you adults that work just to get it over with and then look forward to just sitting and watching TV at the end of the day. But a human at their optimal, healthiest state, they are wanting to create. They are wanting to gain mastery at skills. They are wanting to build something for themselves and the world. And that's why I believe that finding your passion, not finding, but realizing your passion and pouring into that really just makes for a very healthy, fulfilled human being. When it comes to realizing your passion or realizing your purpose, there's going to be a lot of people, maybe family or close friends, that don't understand why you want to do that skill, why you want to go after that thing. But please, please, please remember that you are living through your own inner world. That person is projecting their inner world onto you, but it's a very slippery slope, because if you're in a state that is vulnerable, their inner world can become your inner world very quickly. So just be careful who you share your hopes and dreams with. Be careful who you share your passions and these things that you're realizing on your journey, because it's really, really easy to let a close friend or family that doesn't understand what you're doing kind of seep into your mind. And when it's negative, when it's limiting, it's really hurtful, and it kind of feels like it's like constricting you, like limiting you. And that's why it's really important to just trust yourself, believe your mind. Like, I feel like that's the biggest thing when it comes to realizing your passion and purpose, is to trust yourself, trust your thoughts. Trust the thoughts that you are getting. There is a reason why you are receiving those thoughts. And I said this a long time ago in a TikTok, but treat your thoughts like God placed them there. If you start treating your thoughts as divine, you will begin taking them seriously and following what they're saying instead of listening to that friend or that family member that just doesn't get it. And maybe they're limited by their own viewpoints, their own beliefs, what they believe is possible for them. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like when finding your passion, when going for what you want to go for, sometimes you have to be narrow-minded. Sometimes you have to lock in on what you think you are capable of, what you think you want to do with your life. You need to lock in on that and kind of just make the world invisible. That's what I've had to do, honestly. Like, there have been people that question what I do. There have been people that question me when I talk about my dreams. There have been people that tell me that they just don't see certain things in me. And those things definitely affected me a lot. But the world you experience is the world you believe. And as soon as I stopped believing in these things people were saying, and it's not even like people are trying to be mean, it's just like people will naturally be like, oh, like, I don't really see that in you, or I don't really know how that would ever be possible. Like, even if they're saying it in a nonchalant manner, it really hurts the soul. And I realized how big of an effect it has on your lens of life. But like a flip of a switch, as soon as I realized, like, oh, I don't actually believe that about myself. Like, I choose what I believe about myself. And I kind of like disregarded those comments. Immediately, my life turned into like a different color. Life moves as fast as your mind switches. I don't want to say life moves as fast as your mind switches. The correct way to say is like your perception of life changes super, super quickly. So what you see immediately changes. Like, as soon as your perception switches, what you see in life completely shifts in color, shifts in flavor. It takes time for that new you to build after you have flipped the switch in your mind. But as soon as you flip the switch in the first place, your lens of life, your lens of yourself changes immediately. And that's what I realized when I kind of put down those comments and beliefs I kind of got from other people and really remembered what I think about myself. What do I want to be? What do I see my life as? And immediately my mind recalibrated into what I actually wanted for myself. But sometimes it's hard to let go of comments or things people say about you and your hopes and dreams. And that's why I say to be careful who you tell it to, especially in the beginning stages when you're a little bit vulnerable and looking for that validation. Be careful who you share your purpose, these big emotions with, because like a poison, people's words and thoughts can really penetrate your dreams. I want to end this episode off by reminding you how possible your hopes and dreams are. Anything that you hold in your mind, you can see and perceive. It's already there for you to track. You just have to live it enough and pour into it enough to begin seeing the fruits of that labor, to begin seeing the result, the coherence of that pattern you're tracking. We co-create with God, with life, with, the outer factor that moves what we call life. We co-create with that. So whatever we pay attention to, whatever we believe we want for ourselves, whatever we like, immediately we start seeing that in the world. That doesn't mean it's going to be super easy to see results. That doesn't mean it's going to be super easy to reach your dreams, but it does mean that it's completely possible. That's what it means. It means that it's completely possible for every human. I really believe that humans are like little mini creators, like little mini versions of God. Like we are made in God's image. And that being said, whatever we hold in our hearts and in our minds every single day, we are building from. We build life through ourselves. And I think remembering this is really important because there are going to be days where you feel like there is no movement in your life. There's going to be days where you feel like you're not really where you're supposed to be, or you don't really know what your passion is or if you're excelling at it. But I just want to say it's okay. Sometimes we can't really see the small components in the day that are pushing us forward. Change and progress may look very slow, but I promise you, every single day that you are thinking about the things that you like, that you are thinking about who you want to become, that you're thinking about what you want to bring into this world, as long as those things are running in your mind, you will still implicitly find your way to them because your mind is unconsciously going to be tracking those patterns every day. And I really believe the world, God, that outer source wants to work with you to help you achieve what you really, really want in your lifetime. So please, please, please hold on to hope. Understand that anything that you want for yourself, anything that you can perceive, you can have it. I promise. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I will see you guys in the next one.